Hey guys, what's up? Fan here again, and today I'm bringing you guys another video commentary. And today, the topic we're going to cover is Kael'thas and his skill tree and talent builds. So I thought I would cover a little bit more about just all the mages because after I am Katowice, after Mene played some of the underused mages in Kael'thas and Jaina, I've noticed like an explosion in the popularity of just mage meta right now, and Nazebo's pretty popular there too, and I consider him a mage. So gonna try and do some guides on mages here to help everyone out. Thinking it's a pretty good time to make those guides if ever because of Katowice. So without further ado, let's get started here. Level 1 for Kael'thas. 90% of players in my Hero League games actually pick Convection, and I think that's wrong. I think Convection is the worst talent out of the three here, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know. It's almost like everyone talents this wrong at level one. At least in my Hero League games, because they just want more damage or something, or they just, um, I don't really know what it is. But the reason why I think Convection is really, really weak is because, well, first of all, I would say maybe 70% of the players in my Hero League games that pick this never finish it. Like they just never finish it in an entire game because the meta right now is very bursty, it's very tank oriented, it's very aggressive, um, and they just die. They just die every time they get anywhere. And they end up finishing the game without even completing the quest, which is absolutely terrible. If that ever happens, you basically skip your level 1 talent for no reason. Like, that's so bad. It's like, I can't even describe how bad it is, but it's actually fairly common. But yeah, the other, I would say, so 70% of them never finish it. I would say the other 20% eventually get it finished, but it's still not worth it because they finish it so late into the game that it just never gave them enough value. It didn't give them nearly the same value Fel Infusion and Mana Addict would, because these two come online way earlier than Convection almost all the time, and only like 10% of players that actually pick it can actually get it finished in a relevant time manner to the point where I think this talent's actually good. So I think almost always, unless you're a very good KT player and you know you're not gonna die, this talent is not worth it. Now, having said that, though, I'm going to give you guys like a benchmark, like a just quantitative benchmark, because I know 90% of Hero League players only pick this talent for some reason. So most people, even though it's not worth it for them, they think it is. And my benchmark for you guys would be this. And in my opinion, it's a pretty like lax benchmark. Like I would not be happy if this was all I could achieve, but if by level 15, okay, if you check convection by level 15, um, if you have it done in at least two of your next four KT games, then I think you can keep taking convection. I think that's a very easy benchmark because you only need to have it done in half of your games, basically, right? Two out of four games. And level 15, by level 15, usually the game is around 50 to 75% done. So if you don't have your level 1 talent before 15 or before like 50 to 75% of the game is finished, then the opportunity cost of not having a level 1 talent for 50 to 75% of the game is just absolutely huge. And it makes it so that if you don't have it done by then, it's not worth it. Even if you get it done right after, it's just you've already lost too much value. It's just not worth it. So that's my quantitative benchmark test for you guys if you still think that this is the talent for you guys. If you do pass that test, go for it. If not, then you might want to try one of the other ones because you're not getting the value you want from the talent. So, and I know it goes up by 5 every time you hit a hero or whatever, but honestly, this talent doesn't do anything until you actually finish it. So moving on, let's compare the other two, which I think are far better alternatives. So I think on this tier, your default should be Mana Addict. I think Mana Addict is just an amazing talent for Kael'thas. It provides him everything he needs. He's a very mana intensive hero because you use him for wave clear, so you're using your Q on cooldown most of the time. You use him You're using W on cooldown a lot of the time, either on heroes or minions, and he also uses E pretty often because just to get picks, right? Um, so he's a very mana intensive hero, and Mana Addict does a lot in helping keep his mana pool at a level where you just don't have to back, every 2 minutes. And the second thing is after 20 globes, which is not that hard to do on Kael'thas, you get a stone skin that is quite good, and it's on a 45-second cooldown. So that's very relevant because Kael'thas is a very, very squishy hero. He's someone that enemy teams are always going to want to dive. And having a stone skin is extremely beneficial and extremely synergistic with his kit. You're going to do more damage by staying alive than you ever will by having a bit of extra damage with convection. Because the way I look at it is like if a game is you're dominating so hard that you finish convection fast, and you just never have any kind of pressure on you, and you're free to just damage them, you're gonna win that game anyways. But in the games where people are actually 50-50, the game is close, they're gonna be diving you hard, and in those games, Mana Addict is gonna get you infinite more value than convection ever will. So it'll get you more value than Fel Infusion too, just because of the protection it provides. Uploading a Hero League game along with this guide where I use Mana Addict, and you can see just like in the one game that I play, as an example, it saves my life several times. So um, anyways, yeah, I just really recommend Mana Addict. I think it's amazing on maps where you can finish it quickly. You can finish it before level 10 if you're doing well. So having like a stone skin on a 45-second cooldown before level 10 is amazing. Even if you finish it a bit after, it's fine. So good maps for it are maps where you can rotate 2 lanes quickly, such as Blackhearts, Dragonshire, Tomb, and on the maps where you or Braxis is always also good because of the globe generators. On maps where you don't think you can get many globes, such as BOE or just any of the bigger maps, you can go for Fel Infusion. I think Fel Infusion is still very good. Comparing Fel Infusion to Convection, like Convection gives you 200 bonus damage at level 20 here if you finish it, which is about a 30% increase on your Flame Strike damage. Which is nice, but you have to think that, it only gives you 30% damage increase on Flame Strike when you finish it. Before you finish it, it generally does very, very little, almost nothing. So let's say on average you can finish it at level 14 to 15, then for the first 15 levels of the game, you basically don't have a level 1 talent, right? And only after level 15, when you finish it, do you have this 30% damage on your Flame Strike. Now compare that with Fel Infusion. Like it is only 4%, but it's 4% spell power on all of your abilities, right? So it's 4% spell power not only on Flame Strike, but also on your Living Bomb and your ultimate, whichever one you choose. So I just think that that damage alone, because you have it from level 1, is probably approximately equal to the damage you're going to get from convection. Maybe like a little bit less, but not that much. And that's because it applies to all of your abilities and you get it from level 1. So from level 1 to 15, you're getting all this extra damage that you're not getting with convection. Um, on top of that, it does really good sustain healing. Like your Verdant Spheres is on a 6-second cooldown. You can just DW every 6 seconds and you heal for like, it's a small amount, but it's enough to matter when it's on a 6-second cooldown. It's just really nice. It's like maybe getting a globe's worth of HP every 6 seconds, slightly less than that, but you can definitely sustain yourself in a lane, HP wise, basically for a very long time with this talent. So yeah, that's the comparison between the first 3 levels. Hopefully, I've made my point across, and yeah, recommend you take one of these two. I'm going to take Mana Addict as our default. Now, Nether Wind is going to be our default for level 4. I really like this talent because, well, there's several reasons. Okay, so first one is when you hit a hero, it refunds 80 mana, so that helps you with mana conservation. It basically makes Gravity Lapse like more or less free when you hit a hero. Um, and that's very relevant because when combined with Mana Addict, your mana pool and regen go to a point where with good use of mana like tap and globes, you just never have to back. Whereas if you don't have those talents, you have to back pretty much like every like 2 minutes or something because you're spamming out so many abilities. You just go without them. So that's very important. It's much more efficient to never back in a game than it is to like back every 2 minutes, obviously. So that's a big point. The second one is, of course, the range. By increasing the range by 30%, I think it also makes the gravity lapse go slightly faster. I think the way it works is no matter no matter what the range is, it's going to go from the start point to the finish point in the same amount of time. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me, but I think that's how it works. But if that is the case, then it does make it slightly faster, right? Because your start distance and your end distance becomes longer, but it will still hit in the same amount of time. So it'll make the projectile actually a bit faster. But the more important thing is the range. The range is very important because it lets you stay farther back. In safety range because normally you're following up a stun from your stun tank, right? And normally you're gonna have like a Arthas in the front line or a ETC or a Murden, and they're gonna stun someone, and you're just gonna follow up immediately with your chain CC, your gravity lapse. And having the range lets you stay far back in safeties, basically, yeah, in safety. So that's pretty big deal. And on top of that, the second thing I really like about Nether Wind is it's long enough to let you put threat on enemy backliners. So let's say there's a team fight going on right here, and I'm in our team's backline, and in that kind of situation, there would be a tank maybe you're like right here at the entrance, and their enemy tanks would probably be right outside the entrance as well, right? And their backliner would just be around this keep level right here, right? So it's very possible for you to just like step up a little bit and then you can actually toss your Nether Wind onto one of their backliners, especially if it's like a Vol or something that's like auto attacking your tank. It makes them have to be very careful because you can easily get your gravity lapse onto a backline, and that provides a lot of backline threat for the enemy team. It makes them very scared to approach you, or if they do approach you or try to chunk out your tanks, you can easily punish them with the gravity lapse. So I think that part is really, really important as well. Moving on to level 7, I think that, well, let's talk a little bit more about level 4, I guess. So level 4, I think Energy Roll. Energy Roll is good if they have like all melee and they're all diving you, but most of the time that doesn't happen. There's some silly builds where you can like DE and then it'll just be back off cooldown again and you can DE again in like a second. But most of the time that's just not how it works out. So yeah, mana tap. You don't really need mana tap. The refund 80 mana on Nether Wind, it doesn't give you back as much mana as mana tap would, but like I said, with Nether Wind and Mana Addict, you really don't need more mana. You can, with smart play from taps and globes, just already stay on the field forever. So this is like too much mana, I think. So that's why I go for Nether Wind. It's just overkill. You don't need it. Level 7, we're going to go for Burn Flesh. Not going to talk too much about this one. It's just really good and synergizes with the future talents we're going to take on this default build as well. So Burn Flesh, does 8% of a hero's max health if you hit 2 or more heroes. Very intuitive talent. Just more damage on Flame Strike. And yeah, pretty good stuff. Level 10, you're going to take Phoenix. Now, obviously, in some fringe cases, you can take Pyroblast, but it would be like in cases where they don't have anything that negates Pyroblast, which is pretty unlikely. So they would need to not have any invulnerabilities. They would need to not have any ice blocks kind of deal. They would need to not have, you know, Spell Shield even most of the time completely wrecks Pyroblast. So yeah, if they don't have like any of that, then yes, you can take Pyroblast and it can be good, but the majority of the time Phoenix is just gonna be much better because it's not that easily countered. Level 13, you're gonna want Pyromaniac. Pyromaniac, I prefer it heavily to these other two most of the time because it just means you get more damage. Like these two are generally like more situational utility, but Pyromaniac is guaranteed extra damage and extra like PvE power. So that's really, really, really good. Obviously, in a team fight, it's very intuitive how this works as well. Your cooldowns just tick down faster when your living bomb is out, which gives you more spells, and more spells is more CC, more spells is more damage. Very intuitive. The one thing I will say about Pyromaniac is that it actually lets you clear very fast, especially after you get level 16. So let's take the Pyromaniac real fast here, and basically like let's say on the giant camp here. So what you can do is you can just DWW so and then throw out your Q immediately. Oh, sorry, I have toggle cooldowns on here. Let's let it regen for a sec here. So anyways, what I was going to say is it also increases your PvE power by a lot because it brings your Flame Strike and Pyromaniac cooldown off so much faster. You can see here, you can basically easily solo the camp at level 13 onward. You can solo this one pretty easily from 16 onward as well. So just more PvE power in general because you get more spells. So level 16, we're gonna get Fury of the Sunwell. Fury of the Sunwell, obviously, just really strong talent in my opinion. People are never prepared for like the second flame strike, and even if they are, you can just use it as zoning. You can use it to siege buildings, get twice as much damage on buildings, and it synergizes well with all the other flame strike talents we're gonna get. So just really good. And let me just show you real fast here. So let's say I want to do knights here after level 16, right? Normally I would actually throw down a phoenix as well, but for the purposes of this test, I'm not even gonna. And you can see how fast you can just insta-clear knights after level 16 with Pyromaniac and Fury of the Sunwell. So really good PvE, really good PvP, really good siege, just good overall. Level 20, the most common one you're going to get is Flamethrower. I do think all three of these are viable depending on the situation, but you know, you can get Master of Flame if they have like 4 melee heroes and they clump a lot. Obviously, this is going to get a lot of value. But otherwise, Flamethrower just really well it synergizes really well with your Burned Flesh and your Fury of the Sunwell. Throw Flame Strikes from further out and cooldown reduction if you hit 2 or more heroes. Just a really solid build overall. Not much to talk about there, really. Pretty intuitive talent there as well. It lets you siege from like ridiculous distances too. So at level 20, you become like a siege mage. Mm, but yeah, that's about it. I guess we covered everything here. Hopefully, you guys learned a few things. Hopefully, the mage meta will continue and this will be useful to you guys as well. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to follow my Twitter at FanHOTS and my YouTube, which you should be on right now. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and peace out.